Hello, and welcome to the Vocal Jazz Audition Tips video for the New Hampshire Music Educators Association's Allstate Music Festival. I'm Deborah Rentz-Moore, Artist in Residence in Voice at UNH Durham. And as a teacher of voice and a professional soloist, I wanted to share some tips that are going to help you give a great audition for Allstates this year. First, it's really important to feel really physically grounded, especially in your lower body. And we want to let that do a lot of work for us and keeping us calm, keeping us grounded, keeping us aware and present in the moment. So just give your knees a little bend, back up again one more time. And then we're going to just roll our shoulders forward and then back also. And then we're going to try to find the middle where there's no tension at all and we're just kind of like buoyantly aligned. That's what we want. And you can also, whenever you feel nervous in an audition, this is a great trick. It really helps me and it helps a lot of my students too. Just give your knees a little bend, one that's almost imperceptible. And even if your kind of default stance has a little knee bend to it, that can also help make you feel very relaxed and connected, not only your body all the way from head to toe, but also feeling like you really are in contact with the floor and you feel like very solid and confident. It really helps. So what are adjudicators looking for in the Allstate's jazz auditions? Well, they're going to be looking for how you embody the vocal jazz style while you perform. And so we're going to start with the assigned etude, Got the Blues by Chris Humphrey, composed in 2017. I'm going to be singing the soprano 2 line for those of you who might also be learning the same line.
Got the blues and baby, don't forget it, don't regret it. Those blues, when you got 'em, you know the blues are alright. Can't sleep through the night, but don't worry, forget it. Don't regret it, those blues. When everybody gets the blues that bothers you, don't let it. Pick up, Basie, blow your blues away.
If you happen to watch my video tips for the Allstate classical auditions, you might be surprised how different this vocal style is from the Baroque vocal style that was featured in the classical tips video. Still, there are some things in common between these two styles, believe it or not. One similarity with Baroque vocal style is that vocal jazz celebrates the beauty of the dissonance and resolution. What does that mean for you? That means that every time you have an interval of a second between your voice part and an adjacent voice part, you can really straighten out your sound. Your tone can become straighter and kind of pared down, and you can really make a nice quote-unquote crunch on that second interval. Look at measure 4 between the soprano 2 and the alto line, and this is a perfect example of that. This beautiful tension is part of jazz singing. Tension is a tricky word to use when you're talking about singing, but I do often talk about the tension of a line, not the tension here, not in your body, just the tension of the sound, intervals crunching against one another. It's just quite emblematic of this style, and you really want to go towards that feeling and that sound. Don't shy away from it. So on longer sustained notes in this style, you can also let your vibrato bloom a little bit with the other vocal parts. This creates a really nice contrast with the faster, straighter tone notes and keeps the listener engaged and wondering what's going to come next. So that's exciting for your audience. In jazz, you always have the potential to interpret a duple meter, that's a cut time or 4/4, with a swing feel. You can hear this really easily in the vocal jazz etude, the vocal jazz etude sound file that's on the website. This is written in 4/4, but there's a real feeling of 2 half notes to the bar, with the 8th notes interpreted not evenly at all, but instead with a dotted articulation. Funny enough, this practice also exists in Baroque music, and there's a term for it. It's called inégal, and means unequal. So another hallmark of the jazz vocal style is lightning fast text delivery at times. And you can probably guess that there's no way to accomplish this with a full operatic sound. You're going to have to pare down your sound a little bit to a forward-placed, very articulated and conversational sound. Usually you have to dial down the subglottic pressure just a little bit. And you know, of course, subglottic pressure is the breath pressure that exists below where your larynx is. Your larynx is here, and your lungs are here, and your subglottic pressure comes up to right here. And that's one of the things that allows you to make a sound. But if you have too much of it, you're either going to be too loud or too forceful. So when you're doing rapid delivery of text, you want to kind of sing a little softer, really, and a little bit more directionally. So instead of this lofty operatic vibrato-filled sound, you're going to want a much more directional sound that really goes somewhere and is kind of very compact in its tone. So finally, I think the magic of jazz vocal style is the way the sounds are experimented with and played with. Think about improvisation and scat syllable singing. You're going to be asked to give an improv scat solo at the end of the jazz etude, and it's okay if it contains both great musical ideas and also some clunkers. That's the way you learn and get better, and it's part of the experience of improvising. There's great stuff and there's not so great stuff, and it all exists side by side. However, count on giving yourself a lot of practice time to experiment and slowly start to identify what your scat vocabulary is for your solo. Then when it comes time for the audition, you're going to have a lot of workable options in your head already from which you can choose when you're in the moment. In order to get ready to improvise, there's another helpful thing to do, and that is familiarize yourself really well with the chord changes and also the bass line. It's going to help you orient your singing, especially if you're improvising. It'll be in there and you won't have to think real hard. You can just respond with a musical idea. So for more vocal audition information, look at the NHMEA Allstate website. And there you're going to find information on the vocal jazz solo That's All, as well as sight singing details for the audition. Finally, you're going to find the choral piano sound files for this jazz choral etude. And you're going to be able to listen to sound files of all the parts at once, as well as files that contain all the parts except yours. And this is a great practice tool. Give yourself plenty of reps to really fine-tune the sound and the articulation that you would like. It may take a while, but it's worth it. So I hope you will feel free to contact me at the UNH Music Department if you want to learn more about what we do in the voice area. In addition to performing solo jazz, classical, musical theater, and CCM repertoire, we're also doing choral music and operatic repertoire as well. And we would love to tell you more about what we do and even maybe have you come for a visit so you can see for yourself. But in closing, I'd like to say best wishes for your New Hampshire Allstate Vocal Jazz audition and have fun.